And welcome back to Fox and Psychology. I'm Lauren Green. We're talking about soul healing, a way of raising your soul's energy level in order to fight off diseases. Dr. Bruce Goldberg believes through this process he can help his patients heal themselves. But with all of the new alternative therapies popping up, how do you know which is the best and safest option for you? Also with me once again is clinical psychologist Dr. James Zimmerman and author of Soul Healing. Dr. Bruce Goldberg is also with us today. But Dr. Goldberg, I want you to respond to what Dr. Zimmerman was saying before the break.
In Soul Healing, I have several hundred references to the scientific literature. There has never been, in the last 200 years that I'm aware of, any case, documented case of harm with meditation, hypnosis, acupuncture, any of the techniques around. There is no harm whatsoever. There's no case. As a matter of fact,
I don't think he's saying that there was any harm. I think he was saying
that patients can be deluded into doing something that will cause them eventual harm.
People can be deluded if they think this is the only answer, and that's the harm.
And the point of Soul Healing in my book is that there are 9 or 10 different regimens presented. But let me show it can be harmful. Classical analytical psychology, the Freudian mentality, is not taught in psychiatric residencies because there were too many lawsuits. That was very dangerous. A lot of cognitive and analytical approaches are in fact very dangerous, and that's why they're being phased out. What I'm saying here is that the script of my technique, of the superconscious mind tap, is in Soul Healing. Anybody can pick it up. They can use tapes if they want. They can read. It's so simple. It's out for the public. As a scientist, I make it available.
You're still in some books, I know, but Dr. Zimmerman, why don't you respond to some of the criticisms he's made about your profession?
Well, I can't answer anything about psychoanalysis being harmful. It's not what I practice. I think in any profession there can be problems that are created by techniques that are used. I think one of the issues that we had started to talk about in the break was about regulation, which is that you know there isn't that much regulation of alternative medicines.
Well, this brings up another problem: is how do you know? I mean, if they're not harmful, how do you know, Doctor? I'm going to ask Dr. Zimmerman because how do you know which ones are going to be okay? Well, which ones are just going to add some soothingness to your soul, and which ones are actually going to help, and which ones will do some harm?
Well, I don't think you do know. I think at this point, what people are left with is the same kind of principle that occurs in medicine in other ways, which is that you want to be referred by someone who you trust to someone who has been trusted by someone else. In other words, you want to hear from a doctor who you rely on that something might be helpful, or you want to hear from a friend who's been helped by it.
The National Institute of Health, which is federally taxed, our tax dollars go there, has an Office of Alternative Medicine established in the fall of 1992. It recognizes past life therapy, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, all the lists. I put all those in the book. Our federal tax dollars are investigating. We're studying now. Psychiatrists
are studying
but it doesn't
credential them.
Psychiatrists are studying. Please, I'll let you talk. Psychiatrists are studying shamanism, the ancient form of soul healing, going back 50,000 BC minimum, because it works. The bottom line here is that if it works, do it. Modern medicine cannot treat the chronic degenerative diseases. Classical psychology has failed miserably. There's 250 divisions in the American Psychological Association. 249 of them probably shouldn't exist. Code 270, by the way, of your organization is parapsychology, and hypnotherapy is a component of clinical psychology. So your own association recognizes the fact of these paradigms.
But I'm not saying that some of these things don't work. What you're saying, when you're saying if it works, do it, you're leaving the door open to a lot of quackery kind of therapy. And this is the problem with regulation. How do you know?
But the problem is regulation is fine. Only acupuncture that I know of in alternative approaches or soul healing is regulated by the states. That's true. The point here is that why are more people seeing a alternative medicine practitioner, a soul healer, as the Eisenberg study of 1990 shows? 425 million people went to an alternative medicine practitioner, only 388 went to physicians, because modern medicine isn't working. Modern psychiatry and modern psychology isn't working. If it was, I'd be filling teeth.
Dr. Zimmerman, I want you to respond.
Yeah, I'd like to answer that. I mean, first of all, Dr. Goldberg is trying to make me into a straw dog. I mean, I don't think Dr. Goldberg really knows what I do in my practice. But I do think that one of the reasons people are turning to alternative medicine is because Western medicine has failed in certain ways, in that it has not addressed spiritual needs.
Western psychology has failed too. Psychology has failed too. That's why they're turning to me.
A lot of psychologists are incorporating various methods of spiritual healing in their practice, much more so, I think, than is recognized by many
So what's the problem with soul healing? This is exactly what we're talking about.
I think the soul healing is that the problem comes into play when people look at it as the only source of healing.
Nobody is saying that, and I don't say that. In fact, I give specific instructions in soul healing as to how you can select a therapist, what question to ask. If you ask a therapist, who's responsible for therapy? If the clinician says, me, meaning the therapist, don't go there. I make that clear. You're the patient. You're responsible. If they say, what is the one therapy that works? And they say, my magical technique, and you say, wait a minute, what about others? And they say, no, it's mine. Don't go there, because there are dozens of techniques out there.
But I want to know, are you responsible enough to say that I cannot do it alone? When you talk to your patients, you say, I can't do it alone. I need the medical profession to help me, help you, help yourself.
Well, it depends on the issue. If it's a psychosomatic issue, no, the medical profession will not help. If it's
but how can you say something? We are running out of time. I'm very sorry, but we can get into
losing weight, stopping smoking. You don't need medicine for that.
We don't mean that, but we're talking about AIDS, cancer. We're talking about a lot of it.
I work with physicians. They refer to me. That's how I get my referrals. Physicians and the various specialties refer to me.